Hello there, and welcome back to André Explores the Unreal Alpha. In the previous episodes, I explored the versions of the Unreal Alpha from 1995 and the versions of the Unreal Alpha from 1996. So in this episode, I'm gonna start exploring the versions of the Unreal Alpha from 1997. Now, the last version we saw in my previous video was this one, the 0.84a version from December 1996. The next version that we have access to, that we can actually explore, in other words, the next version that was leaked on the internet, is it's these three versions here. There's three very similar versions that were kind of made in succession. They are all from May 1997, and they're called 0.864N, 0.864V, and 0.864Y. Now, I think they must have I think Epic must have maybe... Well, the thing about these versions is that they actually... The game has kind of regressed. Like, in the 0.84a version, there was working weapons, working monsters. The game was sort of it was quite different to the release game, but it was kind of starting to be a functional game. Whereas I reckon Epic Games must have kind of changed direction here or something. I feel like they might have started working on the engine again, or started working on the game again, or kind of got rid of some of their assets, or not really assets, but got rid of some of their code maybe, and kind of gone in a different direction. Because 0.864N and these 0.864 versions, they are lacking a lot of stuff that the 0.84 version actually has. For instance, these ones from May 1997, the monsters don't really work anymore, the guns don't really work anymore. So yeah, it's just weird how it's kind of regressed, how they've kind of I don't know. Also, in the alphas that we've seen so far in my previous videos, they didn't really have that many crashes. They had occasional crashes, but when I explored the 1996 alphas, they seemed to work more or less, they seem to actually run. Whereas the 1997 alphas, they actually have quite a few crashes and freezes, and they're a lot less stable. So once again, it's like somehow they had a really good thing going in 1996, and they kind of changed their mind how they wanted to do it, started again, built up everything from the ground up, and now it's got a whole lot of these problems they didn't have before. But on the other hand, the game itself is more ambitious than it was before. So yeah, because of these glitches and crashes, I'll try to play through some of the maps that we'll see in these 1997 alphas, but I won't fully be able to play them I won't be able to give you the full experience of playing through the maps as they were intended because of these glitches and crashes and stuff. But I will play through what I can in as stable versions as I can. However, one good thing we have is that the Unreal Editor now works. So we can actually, even if we can't look at these maps completely in the actual game, even if we can't play these maps in the game, we can still open them up in the editor and see what they look like in the editor and stuff. And this also allows us to see all the various weapons and items and monsters and stuff that had been made at every stage of development. Okay, so let's look at the 0.864N version that was released in May 1997. Now, this Unreal here, this actually just says Unreal can't find system directory. You have to actually be... this doesn't really do anything. You have to actually be inside system and click on this UN server thing here to run the game. And in this version, there's just one map, just the test map, so it doesn't really have any maps that game maps. It just has this test map. So okay, let's open it here. And we see this new logo. So let's look at that again for a second. There's new there's this new the U logo, kind of this logo appears in the release version of Unreal. It's kind of like a logo on some Skaarj facilities, and it's sort of meant it's meant to be simultaneously a U for Unreal and also the Skaarj blade, sort of like the scar blade of their weapons, of their hand or whatever. I'm not entirely sure, but basically this seems to indicate that was this at one point going to be the logo for Unreal? It seems like it might have been. The fact that this logo was here when we opened up the game, this U, that might have been the logo for Unreal. Okay, so let's look at this map. Like I said, this is just a test map. And one thing you'll notice is that the HUD is, once again, like I said, it's a lot of things that were functioning before are no longer functioning. So the HUD looks similar to how it used to in 1996, but now it doesn't really work. I think it's a bit different. I can't really remember what 1996 one looks like exactly, but I think there are some subtle differences. But for the most part, now there are no numbers. It doesn't display anything. It's just a static image that kind of just wastes space effectively. The jump is now not as high as it used to be. So not as high as in 1996. So the jumping is a lot more similar to the jumping from the released game of Unreal. And if we go into the settings menu, now they can't, oh, that seems to work, okay. But this just freezes it, okay, this is all buggy. Yeah, now it's all bugged. So the settings menu is quite bugged. So let's look at some of this stuff. Here we have the Brute. By the way, in the game's code, he is no longer the big man. He is now called a Brute. And I think he looks a bit different from the one from 1996. I think the eyes are a bit different. I'm not entirely sure. But he's still quite fleshy. You know, he still doesn't have that orangey brown look that the release version has. Also, yeah, he's holding those weapons. They aren't built into his arms, I don't think. So that is the Brute. And yeah, and once again, the Brute has no AI anymore. The Brute doesn't walk around or shoot you. It doesn't behave like a monster. It just stands there statically. We have here the female character, which in the release version of Unreal, this, as I mentioned in my previous video, in the release version of Unreal, this is the player character. You actually play as this female character. But in this version of Unreal, we don't yet play as her. We can actually type in behind view, and we can see ourselves. We are still that woman wearing the green clothes. That's still the player character, which is different to this female character here. Yeah, so we still play as that woman. Remember, this woman has been in the game since the first alpha in 1995. In 1995, she was there as like a warrior woman wearing like scantily clad armor and stuff. And then in 1996, they changed her outfit to kind of like a green tunic or like a green suit sort of outfit. But yes, this was gonna be the player character for a long time. But soon, as you'll see, they get rid of this model and they switch the player character to the Gina character. I guess I'll call this one Gina because in the release version of Unreal, the name of this skin is Gina. Anyway, normal view. Okay. So yeah, you see she looks pretty much the same as she does in the final version. You see she's got her tattoos and no. I think her hair is more or less the same. I'm not entirely sure. I think so. Yeah. And then we have this quad shot. So it looks more or less okay from the outside. But when we pick it up, it doesn't have the nice textures that I had before. And if we shoot, it just shoots this spinny blue Teridium shard sort of thing. I don't know exactly what the deal with this is. You shoot more, it's primary fire. Alternate fire does nothing. See, it's not really a gun, like a functional gun. It's regressed. It's really kind of just like this. I don't even know why they make it shoot that stuff. I have no idea what that's meant to be. But yeah, it doesn't really do anything. There's also this weird bug where, see, if you go close to those Teridium shards, they appear all fat. And in general, when you go close to a whole lot of various like items and actors and stuff in this game, they appear fat, and I don't know why. It's this weird bug that happens with this version of the game. But I feel like with the monsters, they seem to be fine. I don't think the monsters are appearing fat, or they're human. But like with some weapons and items and stuff, it happens. Okay. Now this version actually has a lot of monsters and weapons and items and stuff in the code, but as far as I can tell, there's no actual command, like just like we can type in cheats and commands in here. Like in the release version of Unreal, there's a command to spawn things, to summon things, and in the 1996 version of Unreal, there was a command. You could type in cheat or cheater spawn and then an item name, and it would spawn that item. But in this version, this is why I think they've kind of started again with the engine or with the code, because now there's no command. As far as I can tell, there's no command to spawn items or summon items or anything. So we will take a look at some items, but it will all be in the editor. So let's look at the editor. Open Unreal Editor. I agree. Use it solely in conjunction with the development of products or product content for publication by Epic Mega Games. Because this was confidential development tool. This was all like secret, you know, trade secrets at the time. So Epic, I guess, would have given the Unreal Editor to other companies that Epic would license out the Unreal Engine and the Unreal Editor to other companies to make other games. And so other companies could use the editor to make their games and stuff, and they'd pay Epic some fee to use their proprietary software. But yes, it was all very much like a trade secret at the time. So this is the Unreal Editor. Let me open the map Unreal. This is the map that we're in. I'm not really going to explain how the editor works, because I just more kind of want to use the editor to show all the other items. So let me just press delete. I'm not permanently changing the map. This is just to make this a bit less cluttered for me. Let's delete this, delete this. This. Okay. Delete this. So first of all, there are some decorations. There's a candle. If we spawn in here, we see a candle. There's another candle. We've got some candles in here. See what I mean? When you go close to them, they become all fat, and when you go away from them, they become all thin again. See that weird bug? There's some candles. These, I think, these candles appear in the final version of Unreal. Got a chandelier. I don't think this chandelier does, though. I don't recognize it. I'm not sure. But yeah, the final version of Unreal definitely has candles. Let me get rid of these. The fan. Does it spin? I don't think it spins or something. I think it's just... These are all called decorations, so I doubt they actually move. I mean, they might move. Another fan. Oh, that fan. Actually, no, they might both move, because that fan number 2 is definitely in the release version of Unreal. Let me go forward. Yeah, you see that in some, like, in the Teridium mine and stuff. Sorry, I meant Rajigar mine. You see it in Rajigar mine and stuff. Okay. Flags. Flag 1. Where is it? There it is. You can only see it from one side for some reason. So you can't see it from this side, but you can see it from this side. So this flag 1 has just a... it has kind of like a parchment like sort of look to it. I think in the release version it has an entirely different texture, but there is still something called flag 1. Then we have flag 1, flag 2. Can we see this one? We can't see that one. We can't see it at all. And then flag 3. Let's put it in here. Do we see that one? No, I don't think we can see it at all. Hammock. Is there a working hammock here? We see it. I don't think we can see it at all. Okay. It must be like maybe they have code for it, but they don't have like a model yet or something. Lamp 1. Oh yeah. Yeah, those are in the final version of Unreal. Yeah. Lamp 1. Lamp 4. Yep, those are in the final version of Unreal. Once again, this fat bug. Plant 1. These plants I'm pretty sure are in the final version of Unreal. Plant 2. Plant 3. Yep. Sign. Yeah, that sign is in the final version of Unreal. And it's actually interesting, that has the same sort of alphabet as those crypt textures. So I wonder, because you see signs in the final version of Unreal with that alphabet on it, but you don't see, but the final version of Unreal doesn't have those same symbols on other crypt textures. I think. Urn. Yep, that's in the final version. And vase. That's in the final version. So that is the decoration. Now let's look at the weapons and items. Inventory. Now, the first thing in the inventory is a thing called detector. This is something that's not in the final version of Unreal. But let's look at it. It looks sort of like a machine with like a screen and some buttons and a antenna or something. Very different to anything in the final game. The thing that looks most like it in the final game maybe is the universal translator. But the universal translator translates text, and it looks quite different. But yes, I believe this was originally going to be a motion detector. It would be an item that you could use to kind of see like almost like a radar type thing to show you where monsters are and like how many monsters are around you and stuff, so you can kind of keep track of monsters. I guess because remember how in the 1995 version they had like a mini map. You could press tab and it would open up like a map of the area. Maybe this was meant to be sort of a similar thing, where there'd be this item you could use and it would show you like a map of the area, or at least a map of the monsters around you. I'm not entirely sure. But yes, this was the detector, and it does not appear in the final game. Next item is the flashlight. Once again, it's got the fat bug. If you move away from it, these items are a lot bigger in this map than they appear in the final game. This flashlight is huge. But yeah, this flashlight, basically it's the same. It's more or less looks the same as the flashlight from the release version of Unreal, except it's super big. It's just a flashlight. Pick up ammo. So we have clips, ammo for the automag, shells, ammo for the quad shot, and stinger. Stinger ammo for the stinger. These look the same as in the final version. There's even still, in the released version, there's even still quad shot ammo programmed into the game. Just like the quad shot is still programmed into the game. But if you pick it up, it doesn't really do anything. It's just called shells, and it's in the code of the game, but like it and the quad shot are both kind of just remnants of something that used to be there. Like, as in, they don't actually, the guns don't work, the ammo doesn't work. It's just a remnant of when the quad shot was in the game's code. Power-ups. We have armor. By the way, I should mention, items, even though this version of Unreal, this 0.864N, even though it has items like the detector and the flashlight, it doesn't have any way to activate or use or like do anything with the items. So the game has not yet been programmed with a way to actually manipulate the items. The items and their models just exist. But like, yeah. But these pickups, things like armor and health, do I think still work. So we have armor, just like in the 1996 version. We have health, just like in the 1996 version. And we have something called heart. Now this is rather interesting. The idea of this heart is that they wanted a way to give the player some sort of invisibility. And they had this idea to make a monster called the Chameleon. Although it wasn't really going to be a monster, it was more just going to be like a non-hostile life form. So some little creature that would sort of run around the map, and it wouldn't attack the player, it wouldn't hurt the player, but it would just be like a sort of like the gnarly rabbit or the gnarly cow in the release version. You know, just like a friendly or at least non-hostile sort of part of the environment. But if you killed, but the thing is, they were going to be kind of hard to capture. They were going to be like kind of quick. They would run around a lot. And if you killed one, it would drop a chameleon heart. And the chameleon heart would be an item that would give you invisibility. Because maybe the chameleon could also become invisible. I'm not actually sure whether that is true. But maybe. But yeah, so the chameleon heart was meant to be the thing that gives you invisibility. But that was one of many ideas that they cut from the game, and eventually they still had invisibility in the final game, but it's now more a technological item. The invisibility is just kind of like this green glowing capsule type thing that you use. It looks like almost like Skaarj made by Skaarj architecture or something, rather than the heart of a creature. Okay. Now we have some weapons, and this is look at this list. They seem to be kind of a bit different. I mean, some similarities to the final versions, but still some unusual things. So we have automag. Oh, that's tiny. The automag is more or less the same as in the 1996 version. 8-ball, this is new. Well, this wasn't in the 1996 version. Sorry, let me undo it. The 8-ball wasn't in the 1996 version, but it is in the final version. So let's look at this 8-ball, and it looks. Oh, it's got, what's that? What are the squares over there? I have no idea what those are. Oh, they're only on one side. Yeah, it looks, I can't tell how much is different just because it's different, or how much is different because of the fat bug. But yeah, it looks sort of similar to the final version, more or less the same, but it does look a bit different because once again, because of this fat bug. That's the 8-ball. Flame gun. Let's look at this flame gun. Is that anything? I think that is something that doesn't work. So I put one in here, but you can't see it. It just doesn't really function. Then we have flame T. This is the flamethrower. So this is a weapon that it's a new weapon. Like, it wasn't in 1996, but it does not survive to the final game. So this was something that they were gonna, I guess, that they sort of had planned at this point in development, to have a flamethrower in the game, but it did not survive. Quad shot, we've mentioned the quad shot several times. It looks like at this point, once again, it was still going to be in the game. I don't know when it was removed. I think I mentioned in my last video that I think the reason why it was removed is that the quad shot and the flat cannon are both kind of like shotguns. They both have a similar role. And so the people making Unreal sort of thought, well, there's no reason to have both of them in there. And I guess they liked the flat cannon more, so they got rid of the quad shot. Even though the quad shot was like one of the first weapons to be designed for Unreal. Then we also note 8-ball is spelt without a second L. Then we have Razor, not Razor Jack, but just Razor. And this is the prototype of the Razor Jack. Look, it's actually got like a spinny blade inside it there. Rifle. So it came with this little orange thing. Yeah, here we have the rifle. Looks more or less the same as the final version. And Stinger. That looks very much the same as the final version. I mean, aside from the fact bug. Okay, so that was the inventory. Let's take a look at the monsters and stuff. So these are called pawns in the game's code. Scripted pawns. Okay, so now this has quite a lot of monsters. Some of these are similar to the 1996 version. Some of these are the same as in the release version, but others are sort of completely new. And well, not many, but some of them are completely new and different. So let's look at these. The first one is called Blob. Now, in the release version of Unreal, there is a blob monster. It's kind of like it's just like basically like a sphere, like a little round ball of like space amoeba that runs at you and attacks you. You know, but this blob is quite different. This blob is this sort of like, it's got some sort of stalk in the middle, and it's got eyes around it. Various eyes around it, and this is grey. This grey kind of amorphous blob with a stalk. I don't know what this was going to be. The monsters don't really have AI yet in this version, but yeah, this was definitely something interesting that was cut from the game. We have Brute, which we've seen, but I'll put one in anyway. We have a Brute here. Like I said before, he looks very fleshy with his skin. He's got like this sort of black hair, these red eyes, like tusks or fangs sort of things, and holding rocket launchers, or holding weapons at least. Now, as well as a Brute, there's like a second type of Brute called the Archangel. I think the Archangel is meant to be like a bigger Brute with more health, and this eventually became the Behemoth in the release version of Unreal. But let's summon one here. I think they look more or less identical. Let me look at them. Yeah, I think they look more or less identical, but I think the Archangel is meant to have more health or different AI or something like that. I'm not sure. Cow. More or less the same as in the final version. It's just a gnarly cow. Dragon. The dragon's still here. The dragon has been part of Unreal since the first alpha in 1995, although there it was red, and over the years, or a bit later, they changed it from red to kind of brownish. So if we summon the dragon or put a dragon in here, it's still kind of brownish, yeah? Yeah, this is the dragon. It's got blood on its mouth. But yes, the dragon does not appear in the final game. It doesn't survive. Now we have something called Female. This is, like I said, the female character that was originally, I guess, I wonder what the original plan was for human characters, because in the release version of Unreal, you don't ever encounter any other live humans. Like, you are the only live human. You do encounter lots of dead humans and you read their logs and stuff as you play, but like there are no actual other living humans that you interact with. I guess there is bot match where you play against other bots and they're just like always hostile to you. But that's not canonical. That's not part of the actual story of Unreal. So yeah, I wonder what were these humans for? Were they meant to be for some sort of bot match? were they going to be humans that you fought, or were they going to be humans that fought alongside you, that helped you? Like, I don't know exactly what the idea was for these humans in Unreal, but yes, there's a female and a male. Firefly. Fireflies, it's tiny. Fireflies are kind of like environmental effects. Like, they aren't really a monster. They're kind of just something that sort of flies around and glows to kind of just like be an environmental effect, to kind of look nice, to be decoration more or less. But they did not survive. They did not appear in the release version of the game. Firefly Swarm is meant to summon a whole lot of fireflies, or like it's not really a monster itself. It's more kind of like a piece of code that acts as like the center of the swarm. I'm not entirely sure how these things work, but I guess in a map, people wouldn't put individual fireflies. People would put a firefly swarm, and that would kind of create, when the map is loaded, like a bunch of fireflies at that location. Then we have Fly. This is like a big fly. These appear in the final game, more or less the same. Nothing too much to write home about. Gas bag. Unlike the 1996 version of the gas bag, these ones look the same as in the final version. They have their 5 black eyes. They look more alien, not like these one eye. I mean, they still have teeth, but they don't look so much like the with their big one eyes and big teeth as they did in the last video. So yeah, gas bags pretty much the same as the final version. Now Hawk. Hawk is another monster that was cut from Unreal. So this is the Hawk. Sorry. This is the Hawk. I guess it's meant to kind of fly around and attack you. I mean, it's not the closest thing to the Hawk in the release version of Unreal is the Manta. But Mantas are also part of this as well, so it clearly wasn't meant to replace the Manta, or the Manta wasn't meant to replace it, I should say. But yeah, you're meant to. I guess you're meant to sort of. Yeah, they're meant to be these hawks flying around. It would be a monster, but it was for whatever reason, I don't know. It was removed from. It was cut from the game. Human. This is the player character. So the Why does it? She sort of glows. Yeah, this is the woman that you oh, that doesn't look good. The sort of the player character that you're meant to play as. I've spoken about her a lot in previous videos. Crow. These Crow look quite different to the final version. Oh wait, let me get them. Oh. Yeah, as you can see, they have this. Oh, why is it saving? I didn't want it to save. Is it just the autosave? It might just be the autosave, I think. Wait a second. Okay, yeah, it's just the autosave. So yes, the Crow here, they have like this dark browny skin, whereas in the final version they have almost like a light greyish skin. So it's kind of like a different skin, or like a browny skin. Now I think the normal Crow have like a light brown skin, and the Crow Elite have like a greyish bluish skin. Whereas this one has like almost like they're very different looking skin. And the staff, okay, the staff when you go from a distance is like a normal size staff. When you zoom in, it's a big fat staff. Yeah, so early prototype for the Crow. Male. This is the male character. There is a character that looks quite a lot like him in the release version of Unreal, but the face is slightly different, I feel. This one's got like a white eye and like a scar across his face, and some sort of a dragon tattoo on his chest. Does the one from the release version of Unreal have a dragon tattoo on his chest? I don't think so, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, and it also has this sort of mechanical leg sort of thing. The one from the final version also has this sort of mechanical leg. Oh. Okay. That's the male. Manta. More or less the same as in the final game. Mercenary. Now the mercenary's face looks quite different. It's got like, it's got like these purple eyes, and it's got these like a vertical bar grating over his mouth. Whereas in the release version, he looks quite different. His face is quite different. His body looks sort of the same though. Like the coloration of his body is sort of the same, and he has that same weapon. I guess it's maybe just the face that looks different. Gnarly. There's a gnarly in here. And this gnarly is quite different from the final version. In the final version, the gnarly has like brown, so it has green eyes, or yellowy eyes, sorry. The gnarly has yellowy, greeny eyes, and he looks very alien. In this version, he looks a lot more humanoid. He looks like a lot more like a human slave with like blood on his chest and chains and tattoos. He's got the same tattoos as the female character. If you look at this tattoo on his leg here, that tattoo there is the same tattoo that the female character had. And in fact, indeed, in the final game, when you play as Prisoner 849 or Gina, as the player model is called, she still has these tattoos. Oh yeah, yeah. And from the back, yeah. Maybe the reason why they changed the gnarly was because, I mean, as you see later on when I play as you see when I eventually play the Unreal Beta on my channel, when these gnarlies they look like this, when they talk, they originally make very different sounds to like the final version. These gnarly, in these alpha and beta gnarly, when they talk, they speak kind of like a click language. Like they go, sort of like click language, And so maybe the reason why Epic changed them was because it didn't want to depict like stereotypical African coded, slaves. It wanted to sort of move away from that sort of depiction and make them these more like mysterious alien creatures rather than these slaves with, with chains and everything. Actually, you might, maybe not in this video, but in maybe my next video on the Unreal Alpha, you'll probably encounter some of these gnarly that make the clicking sounds. So we won't have to wait till my Unreal Beta videos after all. Okay, Puppy. More or less the same as the Puppy we all know and love, or know and hate for some people. I think it's pretty much the same. Even the skin, I think, is pretty much the same. I'm not 100% sure though. Queen. Let's zoom out a bit. The Queen doesn't have a skin yet, but she does have a model, and the model is quite a bit different to the release version of the Queen. She's got like a much longer tail. A much longer tail, whereas in the release version, her tail is kind of short, and she's got these big pincer things coming out of her waist over here. If you see these things over here, almost like a scorpion type things. But just like in the final version, she still has the multiple breaths that she shoots the Skaarj projectiles from, and the face looks kind of similar, I think, or the head, I should say. Maybe a bit different. I don't remember these horn things, at least not being so big. But yeah, so clearly an early prototype of the Skaarj Queen. Scout. This seems to be just another dragon. I'm not entirely sure what this Scout thing is, but whatever it is, its model is just a dragon. So maybe I don't know what it is. Oh, whoops. Skaarj. The Skaarj are still white with the blue pants. So they still have this model, which is quite different looking, at least in coloration, from the model they have in the final version. Slith. That is more or less the same as the final version. Oh, their eyes look a bit different. Does their eyes always look like that? Maybe they do. Yeah, I think they do actually. Squid. Now the squid is in the release version, at least in its code. The squid never appears in... So the squid, basically, in the release version of Unreal, in the code they have the squid as a fully working, fully functional monster. They just never put it anywhere in the game, either in Unreal or Return to Napali. So in none of the official campaigns do you ever encounter the squid as in the game. But it is fully coded and fully working in the game's code. So a lot of custom, a lot of fan-made maps, a lot of community-made content has the squid and stuff in it. But you'll never see it in the official standard game. I don't know why they removed it, because even in the Unreal beta, it appears in some of the water maps, some of the maps that have water in them. You see squid, and so it fully works. It's like a fully working monster. So I have no idea why they got rid of it, but for whatever reason they decided, no, we don't want it in the game, removed all the squid from the game, but still left it fully working in the game's code. And yeah, as far as I can tell, it looks more or less the same as in that version. Tentacle. Very similar to the tentacle from 1996. Same with the scar. The white scar was very similar to the one from 1996. Titan. But yeah, the tentacle still has a different coloration. The tentacle still has a different coloration to the modern version, to the one from the release version. It's still a lot more like bluey green rather than yellowy green. Titan. I think the Titan is more or less the same as in the final version. I can't really notice any differences, but once again, I'm not entirely sure what's the fat bug and what's genuine differences. But it looks more or less the same as in the final version, as far as I can tell, with my limited discernibility, with my limited resources, I should say. But yes, the Titan is certainly in the release game. Note that a lot of these don't have their elite classes yet. The Brute has the Archangel, but there's only a Skaarj. There's no Skaarj Trooper or Skaarj Berserker or Skaarj Lord or anything. There's only a Mercenary, no Elite Mercenary. There's only a Manta, no Cave Manta. There's only a Guest Bag, no Giant Guest Bag. There's only a Titan, no Stone Titan, and so on. Turret. Now, Turret is interesting. This seems to be a sort of, it's not so much a monster, more like an actual, mechanical turret that would, attach to the walls or ceilings or whatever and shoot projectiles at the player. There is nothing like this in Unreal Gold. So this was definitely removed from Unreal Gold, but there is something like this in Unreal Tournament. So yeah, I guess they thought the idea didn't really suit Unreal Gold, didn't really suit the aesthetic or vibe they were going for. But when it came time to make Unreal Tournament, when that was more kind of set on Earth and more kind of Earth technologically based and kind of more yeah, it was. I guess they felt like it was more there. The turret made a bit more sense, as opposed to Unreal, which is this alien world. You know, I guess the turret could have worked with the Skaarj, but well, I don't know why they removed it. They just didn't end up with a turret. There's View, which is kind of like a dummy pawn. It's just an eye. It's just a camera sort of thing. I don't exactly know what it was really there for. And lastly, we have the Warlord. I think, I'm not sure if his gun is different. Once again, I can't tell if it's a flashback or not, but his gun, he's not holding his gun, is he? Oh, he's got these big tusks. In the release version, he doesn't have these big tusks coming out of his face. I think they changed that. I think it is slightly changed. Yeah. Interesting. Oh, well, okay. So now it created this autosave map automatically as I was in the editor, just to kind of save my progress. But yeah, it doesn't really matter. So that was version 0.864N. Now let's look at version 0.864V. Oops, wrong thing. I need to go maps. If we look at this, there's 6 maps. There's Unreal, which is a map we start in, which is the test map. There is Fred, which is another test map with a lot of monsters. And then there are sort of then there's Skaarj, which is a third test map, which is just has a single Skaarj in it. And then there are three kind of like actual maps that are sort of more part of the actual game Unreal, maps that could become actual playable maps that are part of the game. And that's Aztec, Ruins, and Morose. And I'll talk more about them in a second. So first, let's open Unreal. Oh, it has the old logo again. Sorry, never mind. No, never mind. Sorry, I'm getting confused. Yes, it is. Sorry, it is still. I'm jumping ahead of myself. I'm too busy preparing for the future versions. But yes, no, it still has this same logo. Yes. Now this map, Unreal, is just we have a quad shot here. We have this room with a brute in. Does he attack us? Oh, he's solid. Okay, yeah, he attacks us. Or at least he sort of moves around. We have some sort of AI going. Yeah, he doesn't. I don't know if he does damage. I don't think he's doing damage, but he sort of walks around and shoots. Okay, and this quad shot just shoots these weird stinger ammo things. So that's the brute in there. We have this room in here with some light effect. This room in here. More light effects. This one's got the sort of disco light thing going on. And that is the room where we came from, with just a one big flashy light. And that is pretty much it for the Unreal map. Now, what is interesting about the 0.864V version, and also this is also true about the 0.864N version, is that we can actually load other maps through the game menu. So if we go open save file, which version are we in? Sorry, wrong version. If we go 0.864V maps, this was Unreal, but we can go open. We can open Fred. Now Fred is basically a big map to show off all the monsters, but we've seen most of these monsters anyway. Now the Skaarj and the Brute and the Crow, I think, have AI already, primitive AI. the others don't really. So the crowd can sort of waddle over here, where he's very buggy. See the crowd kind of going. The Skaarj is shooting Teridium shards at me. The crowd can sort of attack. Let's see him attack. You saw him attack for a second, and the brute can sort of walk around. But yeah, here we see the cow, the human, the woman. She looks so goofy. The hawk. Oh, what? It just hit me. The turret. Manta. Squid. That blob thing. Oh, I died. Okay. I need to reload the map. Fred. I wonder why it's called Fred. Is it named after, like, maybe the person who made its name was Fred? I don't know. And where was I? Here we have just this this eagle head, this like sort of like this this dummy symbol. I think this was originally meant to be a razor fish. So I think as it came time to make, like, between last version of between 0.864N and 864V, they started making a monster called the Razorfish. Now this would eventually become the Devilfish in the release version of Unreal, and basically it's like a shark. But one of these eagle heads is meant to be the Razorfish. But I guess at the point when they made this map, they hadn't made a model for it yet. So, oh, it's moving. Interesting, it's moving. Yeah, at the point in time they made this map, or maybe it's being hit by the Skaarj bullets. They hadn't made a model for these things yet. So they just appear as a sort of generic dummy icon to represent stuff, to represent like a monster in general. Here we have a slith, puppy, another cow, guest bag, tentacle, brute, female, mercenary, queen, titan. Ah, I died again. Warlord, male. I think fly. I think that's everything. Dragon. We got the dragon here. Gnarly. I think that is pretty much everything. The gas bag in the air there. But yeah, that's more or less the whole map. So it's just like a demo. It's like a test map to kind of show off the monsters and everything. Next we have the map Skaarj. This is just literally a small room, a small box with a Skaarj in it. Nothing fancy. Could the Skaarj see me? Does he attack me? I think it's too crowded. I think he doesn't have room to even attack me. Interesting. Okay, so now let's explore some of these maps that actually are like could be maps from the game. So the first of these is called Ruins. Now, Ruins is actually a map which does appear in the final version of Unreal. In the game's code, it's still actually called Ruins, but when you play the game, it's called the Temple of Vandora. So yes, this is a very early version of the Temple of Vandora. And you'll notice we actually spawn at a different location. We spawn, instead of spawning at where that map starts, we spawn here where the boat is. Now, this is probably a good time to talk about, well, you see, okay. In if you read the Unreal design documents, like the documents that the Epic made, where they kind of describe what maps they want to make and what their plan for the game is going to be, you see that there was a plan that there was going to be a map called the Underflow, which would connect a lot of the water-based maps. So you would actually go from one map to like the Underflow and go to like another map it connects all the maps together through these water passages. And so I think in this map the original idea was you would go from the Underflow by boat into this you would arrive into this map by boat. Now in the actual release version of this map, in Temple of Pandora, this boat takes you on a short little boat trip down to the Torch of Tranquility. It's like halfway through this map. This boat isn't at the beginning or end of the map. It's halfway through the map, just as a short little thing in the map. But I believe this boat was originally going to be the thing that brought you into this map via this water passage. And speaking of the Underflow, this reminds me of, I guess I should really talk about the whole idea of hub maps. You see, in the release version of Unreal, the maps are very linear. You play map 1, you beat map 1, you go to map 2. You play map 2, you beat map 2, you go to map 3. So after you finish one map, you go to the next map, and you can never go back. You can't go back to a previous map. Once the map transition happens, it's a one-way transition. When they were making Unreal, though, in 1997, they had a lot of plans, and they actually got it working somewhat, to make the map system more flexible than this. There were going to be certain maps called hub maps that you'd actually go to more than one time. A map could have more than one exit or more than one entrance. And the idea is you could do a map, go to like a side map, and then when you beat that side map, you'd come back to the first map, but through like a different entrance. And all the monsters some of the monsters may respawn, but also some things may be different. Some doors that were locked before may be open now. Some things, it might remember some of your progress in some certain way. So like you would actually go back to maps you've been before, but you would have made progress. And as you'll see, when I play through the Unreal Beta on my channel, the Unreal Betas actually have pretty much more or less fully working hub systems. This whole system of these hub maps does work, where you have a map where you can exit it and go to one or two maps in between, and then come back to that map through a different entrance, then exit that map through a different exit, and then do something else and come back to that map. And it was this whole interactive, it was very flexible. And so I guess the Underflow was meant to be something like this. It was meant to be something where you could leave a map of Unreal, go to the Underflow as like this hub world, and exit onto like a different map, and then play that map, and it would have maybe remember your progress or something. Epic Games was very, very, very ambitious with what they wanted Unreal to be able to do. But I guess during development in late 1997 or more like early 1998, I should say, probably in early 1998, they realized that the hub maps I'm not entirely sure why, but the hub maps, they just realized it wasn't going to work. I think there was a problem with getting the save files to work, remembering all your progress in the hub map and everything, just getting it all to properly function. Maybe something to do with internet games, to get it to work nicely on internet games. I don't actually know the details, but for whatever reason, they scrapped the whole hub map system and just made the maps these linear maps. And as you'll see when I play the Unreal Beta, there's actually a lot of really cool hub connections that still exist in the beta, but that they kind of removed when it came time to make the actual final edition, which is a real shame, because I think it's really awesome. But yes, a remnant of this hub system is of course in Return to Napali, when you have Land of Nagomi. Now Land of Nagomi, this was based on a map from the Unreal Beta that was cut out. So many of the cut maps, or certainly some of the cut maps from the Unreal Beta, were eventually sort of repurposed and reworked and put into Return to Napali. And one of these was the map that became Land of Nagomi. But in Return to Napali, instead of making it a hub map, you just play Land of Nagomi, go to a separate map, and then you go back, then you go to a third map, which is basically just Land of Nagomi, but like different. So instead of going back to the actual same map, they just copy and pasted that map, made some changes to it, so it's still linear. It's still going from the first map to second map to third map, even if the third map looks very much like the first map, if you get what I'm trying to say. Anyway, so let's explore this map. There are these bars here in the final version, these bars are not here. Actually, I think these arches aren't here either. I think this is a fully, totally open area, if I'm not mistaken. And this goes somewhere. This goes to the Torch of Tranquility and everything, but it's all different here. Okay. Oh, and of course, the secret is still here. There's no water physics yet, so we just walk in the water. We just sink. But if we go through here, this is the secret. We get the flat cannon in the release version, and it's already here. And we can see it below over here. So yeah. Interesting blue column. Yeah, there's another room over here in the release version, but this is clearly an early version of that. So a lot of the stuff it doesn't have yet, both in terms of like items and also in terms of like geometry and architecture. Similarly here, it doesn't have the passage to the Titan entrance. It just has this passage. I think that's the same texture used in the release version. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, there are some in this when you playing through these maps. Some of the textures look kind of buggy and funny. I don't know why. Now this. In this room here, we have this dragon face, gargoyle face sort of sculpture, and water pouring from it. So this is still here. In the release version, this is where we put a flare into this water, and it opens a door here to get the invisibility. As we get closer, it gets better, it looks like, to the textures. We don't see a picture of Vandora, the picture where she shows her breasts. Instead, we just see this sort of flag thing here. This, I don't know what you call it. And here we are in this area here. Now, in the release version, this is just a pool. There's no little fountain. But in this version, and also in the beta, when I play the beta, you'll see there's a little fountain here. I don't know why they removed it. Maybe it was just bugging out or something. But there's a little fountain pool here. And in here, this is where you sort of start. In the release version, this is sort of the starting area in here. There's no skybox or anything, it's all just like a white sky. I mean, even the 1995 version had a skybox. If we go out here, we just see a very little opening like a field with like a tree. I don't think that there's nothing like this tree in the release version. I don't think. No, the trees aren't 3D models in the release version. They're just like decoration sort of things, like the plants and stuff. You can just walk. No, the trees are. I think the trees are solid, but I don't think you can. I'm not sure now. I'm not sure. I'm not actually sure. There's nothing like this tree though. There's this thing. There's this plant. More plants. I guess a clearing. I'd call this a clearing. That's the word I'm looking for. But yeah, it does raise questions about, was this going to be the end of the map? What do they want to put here? I don't know. Oh, this is blue sky? Wait, yes, we've been here, yes. Down there's water. In the release version, the water level is much higher, and you can actually swim in it. But it does have it does have a weird texture in the release version. There's actually a weird texture glitch at the bottom. That it has like a mirror effect, or like it doesn't like you can. It's sort of like a buggy hall of mirrors type effect. But when I played it on my channel, when I played Unreal on my channel here, you wouldn't have seen that because I played with the U Gold Fix mutator, which fixes some of the bugs in Unreal Gold, including that one. Okay. This altar table thing. Did these things always look like that? I think they did. I think they were holding flames in the release version. This looks pretty much the same, this area. This is where the gnarly gave you a super health. I opened this to give you a super health in the release version. Some water here. Rooms. Oh. This room with a candle, and up there is where we were before with the where you were up when we were upstairs and looking down with these ladders. And back at the start, or at least the start in this version. And that is pretty much the whole map. No monsters, no weapons, no items. Just a non-solid floor there. Just some like architecture and geometry basically. Okay. Let's look at the next map. Next map we're going to look at is called Aztec. Now, Aztec is a map that made it into the Unreal Beta. So when I play through the Unreal Beta, you'll see me play through the map Aztec as like an actual proper completed map. But Aztec did not make the cut into the release version of Unreal. Aztec was part of, I mentioned last video that a couple of months before the release of Unreal, they cut out like a third of the whole game. And one of the maps to go in that third was Aztec. So Aztec disappeared, Aztec was taken out. However, Aztec was actually put back in, sort of, in Return to Napali. Like several maps from the beta that were cut, it was kind of reworked, redesigned, changed a bit, made to fit in with the Return to Napali monsters and Return to Napali story, and sort of, and slotted into Return to Napali. So you may know it as Velora Temple in Return to Napali. Now I should mention, in this version of Unreal, the weapons don't work and movers don't work. So when you can actually just literally walk through a mover. So if I pick up a weapon here, it just does this. I can't shoot. It's just a static image. I pick up ammo, it just disappears. I can literally walk through these doors. It's like a non-solid mover. It's very primitive. Like it's once again, compared to the 1996, it's really gone backwards. It's really, you know, there's a lot of stuff. It does not have a lot of functionality. This monster doesn't work. I don't know what monster or what thing this is meant to be, but this is meant to be something as well. Maybe a manta or something. I don't know. But the manta did appear. I don't know. The manta appeared in the Fred map, so I don't know. Anyway, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go server ghost and explore this map by ghosting, just so then I don't die, or I can't die, but just maybe I can die actually, but just so then I can, basically to make it easier, because the map doesn't work anyway, so might as well ghost. There's this big pool here, but there's no water physics yet. These are meant to be transparent, but then the transparency thing doesn't work yet. So you go through these doors, and now it might look a bit more familiar. This is the beginning of Velora Temple, Once again, these light blue things are meant to be transparent. They're meant to be the spider webs. And you've got these vines on the walls. Down here. You press that lever, or at least if it worked, you'd press that lever and it would open these doors here to this lift. You'd press that button, catch the lift down over to here. So this is all looking pretty much the same so far. Or, well, in the, actually I should say, oh, let me get out. Where is, yeah. So in the beta, in the version of Aztec, in the beta, you don't start here. You start like all the way down here. There's like a whole introductory section before you get to this area. So there's a whole kind of like passageway that there's a whole lot. There's a lot of other stuff before you get to here. But in this version of Aztec, you start here at this pool. So you sort of start a bit way into the map in a sense. Then once you want, with Temple of Velora Temple literally starts here. So when you enter Velora Temple in Return to Napani, you start literally at this point. So it skips even that bit. And you go down here, go down here, go down here. Like I said, this is all pretty much the same. Press the lever, open these doors, take the lift down. But one thing you'll notice is that this temple uses, in the Aztec in this form, uses a lot of chisel-like textures. Things like this face here, these textures here. It's all textures that were later used in Chisra in the released version of Unreal. And I think Aztec in the Unreal Beta uses, and similarly, and same with Velora Temple, use quite different textures. They don't use these textures. The columns look different, the walls look different. They still have like an ancient ruined temple type feel to them, but it's a different texture set. Whereas in here they use all these Chisra-like textures. So yeah. We can go into here. This doesn't really lead anywhere yet. There's just this area behind here. Go up here. Go across here. This area doesn't. This area will lead in Aztec, in the beta version of Aztec. This area leads to a whole lot of other places, but it doesn't lead to them here. And in Velora Temple, this area, they actually cut off one of the sections here, so this area leads to some places, but not as many as it does in Beta Aztec. But either way, this doesn't lead anywhere here. This area would lead to the lever that makes this gate go across, but in this alpha version, that lever is actually sitting just right here instead of upstairs somewhere. So if we press that lever, that makes this bridge go across. There are these choppers that come down and go chop, chop, chop. So you gotta be good at, timed, jumping across when they're not currently chopping you in order not to die. Go through here. Go down here. Now there is actually an arrow trap in here. There are arrows in the walls here that as you walk across here, the arrows will shoot out at you, and if they hit you, you die. And they basically yeah, it's like this is all very much like, Tomb Raider, Indiana Jones type, type sort of thing. So yeah, so there's an arrow trap here. Then this mouth is sort of like a face here with eyes and stuff out, and this mouth sort of opens, and when it opens, it leads you down to here. And now you're on this bridge here. This leads to a dead end. This would lead, in later versions of Aztec or Velora Temple, there'll be a path here that would lead to the rest of the map, and there's like there's many other places in the map that it would lead to, but clearly it's unfinished here, so it just leads to this wall. They hadn't done anything with it yet, but you can jump to the side here. So this is all, yes, so here we go. We can go up here, we can go up here, we can go up here, go up here. I think these holes were removed from Velora Temple. You can't, these eyes, you can't actually go back to the previous area in Velora Temple. But yeah, this part is all very similar to the Beta Aztec and to Velora Temple. Of course, it's just incomplete. And that's pretty much it for Aztec. Now we have Morose. Now, Morose is a map that was also in the Unreal beta, a lot more finished, or it was finished and completed, and like, you know, a lot more finalized and everything. But it was also one of the maps that was cut from the from Unreal. When a third of the game was cut from it. A lot of these cut maps actually use these crypt textures, including Morose. So Morose uses these, like I said, it uses the same crypt textures that we saw in the 1996 alpha. But yes, Morose was never officially released in any form, not in Unreal and not in Return to Nepali, but it is part of the betas. So I'll play through it when I play through the Unreal beta. So once again, let's go server ghost. We see this this texture is used, I think, is used in the release version of Unreal for like the Warlord and stuff, I think. Yeah, we see this this tusked. It's probably meant to be the Warlord or something. I don't know. But yeah, we jump down here. There's a 7. Remember the 7-pointed star and those symbols. There's some crown down here and a stinger. We go through this door. This is all very much the same as Morose in the beta. And there's actually a secret door here. This looks like this is just like a wall, but if you actually approach this wall, it opens and leads you through here. And there's actually a fireplace in here. I do not believe this fireplace was in the release version. Oh, sorry, in the Morose from the beta, but I'm not 100% sure. Go out here, go through here. Now, was there lava here in the beta? I'm not 100% sure. I think there was lava, maybe. Now there was a scar up here that may have ran. Oh, the scar's still there. Okay. Candles here. In the beta version, there's a button here that extends the bridge. Go across the bridge. Go back here. Fight the scar. Press the button or press the lever, as it will be in the beta. Whatever. Press the trigger. Oh yeah. Also, these are shut windows here. In the beta, they're actually open windows. You can see outside. Then pressing that button extends the bridge across here. So we get back to the start area. And it also extends the bridge across here. So we can get to the next area. Go through these doors. More scar. Get the lift up. More scar. We go this way. Now in the beta there's like a gong there. But it looks like in this alpha there's no gong. And we see the demon head texture on the floor. Now this door's already open. In the beta you have to go down this way and press a button to open the door. But here there's no button, it's just... This passageway doesn't lead anywhere yet, it's just an empty passageway. So go through this door. Go up the lift. There's no secret in there. Or in here. No secret room in there. Now there's a door here. 7-pointed star. Oh no, sorry, am I thinking of the right place? I'm not sure. Now we're on the upper level of that. Where was this? This was the area where I said there was no gong, and now we're on the upper level. Go across here. This leads nowhere. Oh, this opens up. Is it here the secret room was? No secret room here yet. I'm not sure. Now through this area here, in the beta, this had a door that shut off and locked you in here. There's more lava. And this room here is a bit different. This room has 2 buttons now, or in the alpha it has 2 buttons, and this sort of coffin that you see a monster could come out of or something. I'm not entirely sure. And it has the coffin has these. Once again, the Unreal U claw symbol, that the scar symbol, the Unreal U, which is meant to be like claws, I guess. But yeah, are these buttons meant to open up this door, or is this? I'm not entirely sure. There's also no room over here. In later versions, there's like a secret room over here. Anything in here? Yeah, I think. Yeah, so over in here, in the beta version, there's definitely water, not lava. So I feel like they've changed the water into, or at least it was originally going to be lava, and then at some point during development, they changed it into water. This over here. But aside from that, this is all very similar to the beta. This, however, isn't. There are walls here in the beta. It doesn't lead into this part. So I'm guessing you have to go through here, press this rolly button or whatever that is, and that will open this grate. Pass through here, but you can just go back. Like, yeah, in the release version, this is like a solid wall, so you can't get back here. Manta there. I believe there's a secret room here with a scar in it. I don't know if this room exists in the beta version. I can't remember. But in this alpha version, there's a scar here. In this, I guess this wall must open up, and the scar will come out when you walk through here. Is the idea, I'm guessing. Okay. No underground lava area in the alpha. There is in the beta. Yep. And in the beta, there are actually these big like hammer things that chop you. Another like Tomb Raider, Indiana Jones type trap. So they have these big hammer things that crash, and you have to kind of avoid. Or is it hammers that crash, or something that swings? Or I can't remember exactly what it is. It's something that does something. But in this version, there's some. Oh, I guess these are the. Oh no, these must be the hammers. Okay, these must be the hammers with blood on them. Okay, yeah. So they must be the hammers with blood on them that come and they crash. They look different though. I feel like in the beta they had a different look to them. But yeah, I was wondering what these things were when I was exploring this map offline. Yeah, these must be the hammers that come and crash in the middle and bang the person. Okay. Once again, this is slightly different from the beta. We see the U claw symbol logo, that's the same as in the beta, and we see these textures, the same textures from the 1996 version. But now, instead of this being a floor to go across, now there's this hole here. It's not one continuous floor. It's now, instead of choosing either this way or this way, you're now forced to only go one way here. So yeah, it makes it a bit different. So now you go this way here, go down here. Once again, lava instead of water. In the beta, this would be water, and there'd be a secret shield belt down there. Go across here. Demon head on the floor. A door here that will be closed. Climb up here. Climb up here. Go through here. Now on the other side of here. Press the lever here. That should open that door. Nothing in here. Go down, go down, go down. Now this door should be open to the next area, but as you'll see, there is nothing here, because this is where the map stops in this version. Clearly they hadn't built the rest of the map, but as you'll see later on in this video, in a slightly further ahead, in a slightly future version of the Unreal Alpha, more of this map will be complete. And you'll actually see the rest of this map, or at least the rest that was built at the point in time that alpha was made. Okay, now let's look at the editor. I believe the editor is still mostly the same. Yeah, now we see Razorfish there, and yeah, it's still pretty much mostly the same. I think the only difference is kind of the probably the only difference is, like I said, the Razorfish here. But yeah, mostly still the same. Okay, so that was version 0.864v. Now let's look at version 0.864y. We are still in May of 1997. Now, this version is more or less the same as the previous version, and it has a lot of the same maps. It has, well, it had. Let me open it up actually. So, our starting map is the same starting map as the 864N, but we also have it's a map called Unreal. So if we look at Unreal, that's this map, the starting map from 864N. But if we open up main V, that's a starting map from 864V, which we've seen before. Then there's then there's there's Aztec, which is okay, well that's very bucky. Aztec, which we've seen, more or less the same. These are all more or less the same. Fred, which was this man. Morose, which was this one. These are all pretty much the exact same as, Ruins, which is Ruins. I mean, this isn't like this version is only maybe like a couple of days or a week after the previous version, so no big changes have been made. The Skaarj, which is this. But now we have a couple of maps in here that weren't in the previous ones. One is called AltBounce. This is basically just a weird test map. So we see a Skaarj here, the brute, there's a giant, oh, am I stuck? The giant woman character, a giant dragon, two brutes, there's another brute here, maybe a brute and like an archangel or something. And it's basically just, I don't know what this map is meant to be for, but yes. Oh, I can't wait. What, why does it go purple? Weird. I've never seen that before. Well, that's weird. That was AltBounce. AltMap is a very similar map. Why is it all purple? AltMap. It's a very similar map. The big woman, the woman character, the player character. These sometimes look like this. I don't know why. I think it's a bug. Because when you, because they're not meant to look like that. I think when you, I don't know. Once again, a very weird, and a gas bag here. Very weird sort of test map. Okay, and we also have a map called MonsterHall. A vase and an urn. Oh, look at the top of the screen. It says brute. It's showing off the brute. Automag. Does it shoot? It does not shoot. Oh, that's better. Yeah, there's like a labels. Is this going to be the, what is this going to be, the flamethrower or something? What is this? I have no idea what this is meant to be. This is Archangel, as it says at the top. Yeah, that is a long 8-ball and a rocket. At the top it says Crow. Can I change my weapon? I can't even change my weapon. In here there's some sort of minigun sentry. Minigun sort of thing. What's this? Dark Angel. Now the Dark Angel was actually meant to be like a big version of the Crow, like a giant Crow. But it's weird. I didn't see it in the Unreal editor, so I didn't know that it was around in this version. But yeah, I guess this must have been some sort of like a Or I think the Dark Angel was like an earlier version of the Crown or something. I'm not 100% sure. But either way, it appears to be in this version, which is weird because, like I said, I didn't see it in the editor at all. I haven't really opened the editor yet for this version yet, but it wasn't in the previous editor. And here is Skaarj. Here we have the quad shot. So yeah, this version seems to contain some items and some weapons. That's the chandelier. Seems to contain some items, some monsters and stuff that the previous version. Oh, there's something down here. Previous version doesn't. Down here, there's more. Some of these and things, and a flamethrower. Titan. Oh, this is this interesting. This version must have like a lot of. I think this version has old stuff and new stuff because here we have a modern gas bag and also an old gas bag. Gas bag, two types. The old gas bag and the modern gas bag. The dragon. Razor Jack, or the Razor, I guess it was called. Dragon. And here we have sniper rifle, and the razorfish, or I guess it's called a shark here. It looks a bit different to the final version. It looks a lot more. The final version looks different, yeah. The face is different, and it's longer here. Oh, and they have a stone titan. This is flashlight detector. You can't actually how would you change switch items? Unknown message, server activate item. You can't activate items or anything. Armor. Here was that chameleon heart thing. Health. Stinger ammo. Shells and clips. And here we have a stone titan. So interesting, they already had the stone titan design here. Here we have some thingy on the wall, a flag, fan, the other fan, one of those big vases. So yeah, I guess I'm wondering if this version of Unreal Editor must also contain some stuff that was removed from 1996, because if you're looking here, I don't see stuff. So I only see Titan, I don't see Stone Titan, I don't see different gas bags. I'm not sure. I don't see that minigun sentry thing yet. That's sort of that. I guess it might have been like an early version of the minigun before the modern version. Sometimes I've noticed if I open Unreal Editor, because I currently am dealing with multiple versions of Unreal Editor. Sometimes I notice I open one and it still thinks I'm in a different one or something, so I'm not entirely sure. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. Interesting though. Okay. Next up we got version 0.866Q from June 1997. Now this version doesn't have any maps, so you can't actually run it. There's really nothing to show you. It was just a version of the Unreal Engine that was recovered, that was leaked to the internet. And basically the engine has undergone some changes, but the game itself is like, well, I can't show you gameplay, but as far as I'm aware, there's not really much to show you on this video. These look more or less the same. These look more or less the same. These look more or less the same as well. So yeah, I guess the engine must have made some differences, but in terms of like showing you content, interesting content, there's nothing really to show. Okay, next up we have version 8.67Z from June 1997. Now when we open this version of Unreal, we see a new logo. Let me do that again. You see a sort of like a reddish brown Scar Warrior. So clearly there's been some significant changes between the previous version and this version. So one thing you'll notice is that the game is more functional now. Weapons are actually working, and so you can actually shoot weapons and it works. Monsters working more. But this version of the game is very prone to crashing and freezing, and same with some of the future versions that we'll see. Versions around from this one onwards have a lot of bugs in them, and the engine really crashes or freezes a lot, and it's extremely annoying. I think it might be some sort of memory leak or something. At least some of the freezing is caused by memory leak, I think, because my computer ends up using like all of its RAM for Unreal when this happens. So I'm not entirely sure what is going on. The other thing you'll notice is that the HUD is now different. Instead of the big HUD at the bottom, we now have this little box here. But this box here, it's like a fake HUD. It shows guns 1 to 9 and some ammo in each of them, and it shows 4 kind of status bars, each of them at 100. But this HUD is a static image. It does not do anything, and as far as I'm aware, in no alpha of Unreal does this HUD ever actually change or is dynamic. I guess it must mean like a placeholder. Like someone must have made it to be like, oh, this is the HUD we kind of want the game to have, and they put it there. But yeah, it's completely static and it doesn't really do anything. And they ended up in the release version, they use a different HUD altogether anyway. But yeah, I wonder what these 4 bars are meant to represent. I guess the red one is probably health. It's probably health. Is one of them meant to be ammo for the current gun you're on? And then armor. So health, ammo, armor. But then what could the 4th one be? Maybe like item charge or like stamina, or probably item charge, I imagine. Probably like how much charge your item has left, maybe. Yeah. I think that would probably be it. So now we have got some guns. And as you can see, these guns are looking a lot more like their modern versions. So we pick up the 8-ball. We can shoot the 8-ball. Left click. Right click. Ultimate fire. You'll notice that if you shoot the 8-ball on the ground, it actually bounces now. So if instead of just blowing up in your face, it will bounce off surfaces, which I think is actually kind of nicer, because then you're less likely to kill yourself. You can hold down primary fire and release a whole lot, and release it in a circle, not a line. You can hold an alternate fire and release a whole lot of grenades. So yeah, the explosion effect is different to the final effect, but you can see it's looking and functioning a bit more like the release version. Now let's look at the Stinger. So this map we start in only comes with 4 guns. There are other guns which I'll show you in a second, but the map we start in, this default starting map, comes with just these 4 guns. Stinger, once again, looks pretty similar to the final version. Different sounds. Alternate fire. But yeah, looks pretty similar. Razor Jack looks very similar. Shoot blades. The blades look a bit different. They don't have that sort of purple thing at the back of them. But also now blades actually bounce off each other. So if we shoot 2 blades, wait, let me do this. If we shoot 2 blades at the same wall, see the blades bounce off each other. That's different to the final version. I'm pretty sure in the final version the blades don't bounce off each other. I could be mistaken. I could be mistaken, but from what I remember, the blades don't bounce off each other. And then we have the flat cannon. Primary fire. Oh wait a second. I should have done the Razorjack alternate fire. And Razorjack alternate fire is the same as in the final version. It's a blade that moves around with the mouse. Which was the numbers for the guns are all different now. The flat cannon, primary fire. Yep. And alternate fire. Once again, the explosion effects are different to the final version, but we're starting to see a lot of guns that pretty much, more or less, are starting to resemble their final versions. Okay. Now let's take a look at this map. If we go server fly, this is basically just the map Unreal, the map you start in. So you start in this little sort of polygonal valley sort of thing. If we fly up here, in this huge room with flashing lights. Here. And if we go across to the other side, we see more or less the same thing. So it's like a huge area, but I guess only the bottom part is the part really that we're interested in. Let's go once again, server warp. Now, if we go behind view, you will notice we are oh, you can still see the gun. You will notice we are no longer that woman from the 1995 alpha. We are now the female character. I guess this character is called Female 1 in the release version. The model is called Female 1, and the skin is called Gina. We are now Gina, or who would eventually become Prisoner 849. So yes, now I guess they decided for whatever reason to scrap the woman that was the player character, and to now use this woman here instead as the player character. We go normal view, go back. Now, I wanted to show off. I wanted to show off the various guns and monsters and stuff, but I didn't want to do it in the editor. I wanted to actually do it as part of the map. Now that we have like functional, now that weapons sort of work and everything, now that we can shoot weapons as part of the map, I want to actually show you these weapons and monsters actually animated and alive in the map. But there's still no summon or spawn command, so I can't spawn these creatures for you guys. So what I did is I actually went in the Unreal editor and edited this map we're in now, and added the various monsters and weapons and items in this map so we could actually play those maps and explore them and check them out. Now, I have very, very little experience with the Unreal editor. I'm not good. I'm not good at like making maps or making stuff. I've never really tried to really make a map before, but I do know enough to put in items in a map. So if I go open save game, let me go out of here. 67Z maps. There's a folder called André. Now let's look at these. So the first one is called weapons. So these contain some weapons. These contain the weapons that are in the game's code, but weren't part of the starting Unreal map. So the first is the automag. It looks quite different from it looks similar to the automag from 1996, but it still looks quite different from the automag from the release version. And this automag, unfortunately, when you shoot, it kind of freezes the game. So I'll give an example. It's shoot, and the game freezes. And the game's using up like all of its memory. I'm pretty sure it's got a memory leak. Let me go control out delete. see if this works. If it doesn't work, I can just restart the virtual machine, which I might actually do. I might just do that. I might go restart the virtual machine. Okay, go in here. So that was the automag. The automag also has an alternate fire, which also causes problems. If we go alternate fire, you have to turn the gun sideways, do the sideways shot, and once again, it crashes. We have a flamethrower. Now, for whatever reason, the flamethrower here is tiny. You see that tiny thing in there? That tiny little model? That's a flamethrower. It does not have any. It does not work yet. You can't actually shoot. Like when I click fire or alternate fire, nothing happens. But it's like meant to be a flamethrower. And this was cut from the final game. This was, I don't know if it was ever made to work in the Unreal Alphas, but it definitely does not appear in the final game. Now this is a gun here called the Impaler. The Impaler, it kind of reminds me of like a Crow staff, but it's sort of different. If you shoot, it shoots these red bolts. That's primary fire, and alternate fire shoots these purple bolts. Primary fire, alternate fire. They don't actually come from the gun itself, they come a bit like from the wrong point, but that's probably a... clearly they're meant to come from the weapon itself. But yes, this is meant to be like I guess a magical staff that shoots energy beams. And like I said, it's not in the final game. Oh, what happened? Where did it go? Oh. Wait, I know what happened, sorry. I picked up the invisible gun. I forgot it was there. Okay. So that is the Impaler. I guess the closest thing to it in the final game is the Crow staff. Then we have the quad shot. There's still a bit of that fat texture bug, I feel like. Quad shot looks very fat here. Doesn't work at all. Primary fire, alternate fire does nothing. And I've mentioned many times in this video series about how the quad shot is in the final game, but it doesn't work. It's in the game. It's in the final game's code, but it doesn't actually function, and it never appears in the campaign itself. It's just remnants are in the code. Here we have the rifle. Notice it's got those two spikes at the end, like in the exterior model. When you pick it up, it doesn't have the spikes. This is a sort of inconsistency that remains even in the released version of Unreal. I guess the rifle was originally meant to have spikes on the end, and then when you walk up to someone and walk into them, it was meant to like kind of stab them like a I don't know what you call it, but like a what's the word of like those rifles that they used to have in like World War I or whatever with the spikes at the end. I've forgotten the name of them. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, it was meant to be like one of those, but then then they decided to get rid of the spikes on the actual weapon model when you hold the weapon, but they forgot to get rid of the spikes on the model of when you look at the weapon externally. So it has this inconsistency. But yes, the weapon's kind of positioned wrong. Primary fire, a single shot. Alternate fire. Oh, alternate fire is actually like a flashlight here. Okay, that's an interesting development. In the beta, I believe the alternate fire is more like a quadruple shot. Like a shot, it shoots like four 4 rounds or 3 or 4 rounds at once or something. It's like a big shot. And of course, in the release version, alternate fire is zoom. Now here we have the stunner. The stunner, I think, the stunner does not appear in the final game, but I think the stunner is kind of like the predecessor of the ASMD. So you press primary fire, you hold it down, and it charges up, and then release it, and it doesn't really shoot anything. It just alternate fire does nothing. But I think the stunner is meant to shoot like a big sort of like a beam, like a sort of shock beam. Like I said, I think it's meant to be an early version of the ASMD. And lastly, in this corner, there is a gun. Is it this corner? One of these corners. There is a gun that is doesn't have a model, so it appears invisible, but it still kind of still does function. And this is called the teleport gun. Now, if we do primary fire, we shoot this blue module, and then if we press primary fire again, we teleport to where the module was. Alternate fire does nothing. Primary fire, shoot a new module. Press primary fire, teleport to the module. So even this early on in Unreal, they had the idea of a gun that would teleport you. Now, this gun was cut from Unreal. Nothing like this appears in the release version of Unreal or Return to Napali, but this idea was used in Unreal Tournament, and this gun became the translocator of Unreal Tournament. Okay, that's it for this map. Now let's open items. So yeah, all of these maps here are maps that I made, or that I edited basically and made. Oh, I can't. Wow, they're really hard to see. So here we have armor. You can't actually pick it up, armor. Health. Is there the comedian heart here? Oh, actually, I think you have to view this one in the editor. I think. But wrong thing. If I go. Yeah, so here we have armor, health, and heart. We've seen those before. We have clips, shells, and 3D memory. We've seen that before. We've seen the detector and the flashlight. We've seen before, but now we have something called the lava boots. Now, this is the one new item here. These lava boots, I guess they're meant to be boots that allow you to walk in lava or over lava without getting harmed. But what's interesting is they look very, very similar, at least in appearance, to the jump boots of the release version of Unreal. Now, I'm pretty sure at some point in development, they were going to make like both lava boots and jump boots. Like lava boots to walk on lava, which were these white boots with like brown patches on them. And they were going to make more like futuristic technological boots to be jump boots, to be able to like jump really high. But then I guess they decided to scrap the idea of lava boots, but they used the lava boots model and skins for the jump boots. So the jump boots were a different idea, but they looked like what were originally going to be the lava boots. So yeah, interesting. And like I said, the detector, I spoke about it. You can see it here. I spoke about it earlier on in this video. The motion detector it was going to be, the flashlight we see here, and the stuff we see here. And it crashed. Now let's look at some of the monsters. So this is this is the blob. We saw the blob earlier on, but now if we shoot it, it's sort of, most of the monsters here have this very primitive sort of AI where they just sort of move around like this, where they don't actually fight you or anything. They just kind of walk around like, I don't know. But yeah, so the blob has this AI where it does this. But yes, we've seen this blob. Brute. Make some brute noises. Oh, he shoots rockets at me. Cool. So the brute clearly has working AI. That's pretty cool. Archangel is probably very much the same. Okay, the Archangel dies quicker than the brute. Interesting. The cow. For some reason, in this version, the cow is stood on its tail, like vertically. I have no idea why. And if we shoot it, it has the same primitive AI as the rest of them, just running around, just whatever. Firefly. And we got it. It crashed. Let's try again. Firefly. Where is the firefly? Is it there it is. This little thing on the ground here. Just decoration, basically. Fly. Just like the cow, the fly is stood on its tail. No idea why. And if we shoot it, it has this primitive AI. It just walks around. Gas bag. Oh wow. What is happening? I have never heard this before. Okay. That was new. Let's see if it does it again. What a weird bug. That was the weirdest thing that's happened to me on this video. See if we shoot it. We can kill it. Basically, yeah, that's just the gas bag. Hawk, I mentioned the hawk. It was cut from the game. Same primitive AI. Looks very unrealistic, running around like that. But yeah, that's the hawk. Whee! Okay. Female. Is the human female character. That's the one. That's the one that we play as. I didn't even need to shoot her. She just automatically walks around. Cool. Can I shoot her? Oh, and she can die. And she has a death animation. Okay, cool. Male. And my game just froze. But yeah, it's basically the same as the female. You've seen the male, you've seen his, it doesn't really matter. Crow. So this crow actually shoots. So this crow has quite good functioning AI. As you can see, it's this dark greyish, purple, like purpley bluish type of skin, rather than the skin he has in the final version. And he shoots the same bolts as the Impaler, which seems to indicate the Impaler was meant to be some sort of crow weapon. But yeah, that's functional. And I think the crow is a bit taller than he is in the final version as well. Manta. Same primitive AI. It's the Manta, which we've seen the Manta, nothing new. Mercenary. As I mentioned, they have these purple eyes and this vertical grate thing on their face, and their gun also looks quite a bit fatter. Different sort of type of gun. In general, they look. I feel like the coloration is a bit different as well. The skin is a bit different. Oh, I shot him, and that crashed the game. Gnarly. Once again, I've spoken about the Gnarly. Same primitive AI. They must have programmed like one simple AI just to kind of like run around and be frantic, and they just use it for all they use it as kind of like a dummy AI for all the monsters here because they haven't programmed this specific AI yet. Kill him. Yep, I killed him. Puppy. Yep. Why am I surprised? Oh, it's taking a while to start up this time. Here we go. Queen. I mentioned the Queen. Once again, you see her big sort of pincer things coming out of her waist and her long tail. Razorfish. Interesting. In the previous version where we saw like the Dark Angel and you saw a Razorfish that worked. It like seemed to exist. Whereas in this version the Razorfish is still. Wait a second. Was I? Wait a second. Was I? Is that part of the same one? If I go. Yeah, MonsterHall is in here, okay. Interesting. So Razorfish still doesn't work. Scar Warrior. Another Scar shoots purple things at you. notice he is green. The Skull Warrior is now green with green eyes and not wearing any pants. So he looks a lot more like the Scar from the final version. Not exactly the same, I feel like, but a lot, or maybe exactly the same. But and his claws are a lot more smaller. His claws used to be a lot huger, like a lot more longer. Now the claws are smaller, and he's got this greenish skin. And yeah, but he doesn't shoot the he no longer shoots the Turidium bolts. He now shoots the purple things from the Impaler. Maybe those are just kind of like the dummy projectiles that they just use for everything now, because they still haven't made good projectiles. Then there's also something called Scar Dummy. This is another Scar in the code. But it just seems to. I guess it's just a Scar with different AI. And when you shoot him, he just starts to be alert. It starts to work on his claws. So it seems to be like just like a Scar with different animations and with different AI. Oh, you can sort of see a longer claw when he does it, like when he puts his arm to the side. See that longer claw there? Interesting. Interesting. I don't know what this is for. It must be something they need during development to test a bunch of things. Okay, Slith. It's a Slith. I think it's more or less the same as in the final version. More or less. It might. Does the Slith in the final version have those gills? I feel like it does have those gills. Yeah. The colour looks a bit different, but it could just be my imagination. Squid. Okay, never mind. Squid. That was a squid tentacle. Yep. Same as what I said before. Does it have the AI? It doesn't even move, it seems like. Or maybe I just killed it. Titan. Oh, he has AI. He throws stones. But the sounds are different. He has different walking sounds. Okay. Somewhat functional. Quite functional, in fact. Pretty cool. A turret. There's that turret again. If we shoot it, it has that same AI, even though that doesn't make sense for a turret. Turrets should be stationary, they're not little creatures. And we have Warlord. Once again, he has a big fat gun. Oh no, when you stand back enough, the gun's not fat, but when you go close, the gun becomes fatter. And he has those big tusks. I don't think he has them in the final version. Maybe he does. Maybe I'm just not remembering. Oh, he doesn't have good AI yet. And yet he's not even holding his gun. You see the gun is like not even attached to his hand. His hands are circles. Why are his, or spheres? Why are his fists just like these spheres? Okay. Now, there are actually some other maps here, as well as these maps. And here we have versions of Aztec, Morose, and Ruins. And we also have this other map called Fortress. But unfortunately, I actually have to go now. So I'm going to stop the video here. And I'll continue next time from this point, where I continue working through the 1997 Unreal Alphas. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye!